I was watching the Toronto semifinals, and I had to share this shot with you guys. Watch this shot from Khachanov. Now, the pros make this look trivial, but there is a way that he prepares his shoulder here, which we talked about in our simplest effective forehand video, which is what makes it trivial. And without this kind of a preparation, not only is it not trivial, but you're going to miss like pretty much every single time. So I want you to watch what he does here. So, okay, first is recognition, right? He knows what's going on. He knows the shot's about to come. As he sprints, right here, he is engaging the muscles behind the shoulder, in the back, around the scapula, the lats, these muscles in the upper back to hold the arm here. And now you might look at this and be like, isn't he just running? No, watch. Watch this elbow. Watch how stable his forehand apparatus is. You see that? So you see how even as this leg's moving, even his left arm is moving, you know, to help counterbalance him while he's running. But the right arm, the hitting system, what he's ultimately going to use to hit the ball is now stabilized right here. So again, I want you to watch that from back here, right? Okay, ready position. Now here's the dead sprint, and here he sets the racket. This is another thing, is he's attaching that racket to his upper back well before he actually has to hit. What I see from a lot of you guys is you do so much running and then you try to prep and swing right next to it. That makes it very difficult. So that racket's attached. See how stable that hitting arm system is through his last couple sprinting steps? From right here all the way through here, this system is stable and attached. Now, because it's been attached this whole time, he gets to the ball and he has extreme control over that little flicking action. Now, when we tell people to practice this, we tell you to practice hitting flat. So when you're practicing this stabilization, it's actually a lot easier to just hit straight through the ball than it is to kind of pick the ball up like this. Another thing I want you to notice, look at this slant. See this hip angle? See how that chest is almost pointed at the ground? That doesn't mean he's rounding his back to bend over, but he's engaging his hips to bend over like this. Again, chest is almost pointing at the ground, and so now when he rotates, we've got this shoulder slant here, and a very similar kind of rotation to the one that he would use flat, sends the ball more low to high. The last thing I want to talk about is, this is a very low to high shot. You very rarely would want to take a shot like this from the baseline, but here, you know, he has to bring this ball up and down very quickly, so it's gonna have to be vertical. It's naturally going to be a less fault-tolerant contact, so also look at the hand. The hand is like at the height of his hip when he starts the shot. Another thing I see from some of you guys is you prepare your hand up here as if you're hitting from the baseline when you have to pick the ball up off your shoestrings. No, you've got to prepare it down here. Look at this hand. He preps it, you know, right around his chest, but during this early part of the swing, before the forward swing, it's already down to his hip. And he's a tall guy. So if he didn't get the hand down here, this would be a disaster. The rack would have to go so low and then so high, and it'd be very difficult to make clean contact. So probe your vertical spacing based on the height of the ball. And then you'll notice this is probably a little bit of a volitional throwing the hand back. Now, you don't need to do that on all your shots, and not on your flatter shots, certainly. But on a shot like this, if we watch, there might be a little bit more than inertia here. It's not totally clear, but if you feel like you can't get enough spin on the ball, you can throw the racket back on purpose. It's going to make the swing a little bit harder to control, but it is going to give you more whip through here. And this is the kind of situation where you can experiment with that. Okay, the last thing I want you to notice is the arm is quite close to the body here. The more vertically you are forced to swing, the more the arm's going to be in and the closer you want to get to the ball. If he were hitting this ball flat, it would be spaced all the way out here. The last thing I see from a lot of players is no matter where the ball is height-wise, they space the horizontal spacing the same. But no, when you want to pick the ball up, when you need to use a more vertical swing, you want your knees, your hips, you want everything closer to the ball. Because if you look at his arm here, so if he were to swing out, fully out, and not down at all, you know, if he weren't to lower the hand to here, the ball would be out here. But for the lower shot, you want the ball here. So because he has to drop everything so low before he starts his swing, that naturally is going to make the contact closer to the trunk as opposed to out here. So, awesome shot. I'm going to let you watch it now that we've talked about all this. Let's watch it in context one more time. Prep, fire. He makes it look so easy. It really is that easy if you've mastered all those things we talked about. The hard part is making all those things we talked about, like prepping the shoulder early, using the upper back to attach it to your trunk, holding it nice and stable as you run using the rest of your body, intuitively drop the hand before you swing when you know the ball is low, probe the ball closer to you because you know you have to hit it up, and have a nice loose wrist in preparation. You know, here, you're probably going to be holding it tightly to prevent the racket, but nice loose hand in preparation. Once all that becomes intuitive, yes, this shot is not that difficult. So it's not that difficult for Khachanov. But you don't worry if you shank this shot 20 times in a row. It's very difficult to do all those things I just said. Once they become habits, though, it's going to feel a whole lot more doable, especially this connection up here.